wanted to do a video on oil field fires, tank fires, leaks, pipe leaks. Not really so much on how to fight them or how to apply foam, but really my main point of this is to encourage you to go out and drive your sector and look at these facilities. That's really what this is about. Get out and look. If you get a chance to talk to the operators, talk to the operators. They're pretty much in every sector, whether it's an actual tank farm, production facility, a well, or at least high pressure pipe running through. There's one that runs through Thousand Oaks, goes from El Segundo through Santa Rosa Road and all the way to from Ventura to El Segundo. So get out and look. That's the whole point of this. Oil production distribution has been going on in this county for many years. These are some pictures of the Ventura area and the Fillmore Bardesdale area. And they call these our fields are older fields, but they still produce oil. From what I could find, 12,000 barrels a day, 4 to 5 million annually, which isn't a lot, especially when you look at the top counties, which is like 500,000 to a million a day. But all of our stuff is kind of intermixed and nearby housing and commercial and people. So that means that any incident we have has the real potential of impacting people, significant numbers of people potentially. And so you need to really understand what the problem is, and to understand that you need to know what you have in your sector. So again, drive your sector. You'll look on some of our maps, and these leases all have names like the Grub lease, and I can't remember the different names, but they're spread throughout the county, and you'll see those. Anybody who's been on a fire in South Mountain, you're driving through a lease up there, and if you go to the end of Ventura Avenue, that's used to be the Air Energy, and I don't remember the name of it now, but they're all across the county. You'll see them on the maps. But again, drive your sector. So why? What made me think of this? Well, I remember in early 2000s getting quite a few tank farm fires and pipe leaks and incidents related to oil production. And then it kind of slowed down, and then it picked up about 10 years later. And at that time, we were kind of trying to figure it out. And my uneducated observations, it seemed that when it was worthwhile to pump, when it was worthwhile to pull the oil out, then they did it. And when it wasn't, they slowed down. And so in the early 2000s, there was an sustained increase in the cost of oil, so they were pumping. And around 2011, we had the same thing, and that's why we saw like an increase in 2011, 2015. So we're kind of on this 10-year rotation. I don't know if I'm right. I could be 100% wrong, but I still think it's worth looking at our stuff and really taking a look, because we're kind of on a 10-year cycle. And right now, I don't know what's going to happen, but oil is going up. Will it be sustained? Will it go long enough for them to increase oil production? I don't know, but again, you don't want to find out on that incident. So are we like the early 2000s? A little different. Yes, it's increasing, but in the early 2000s, they were bringing stuff online. And so things that hadn't been running a while were running. In the 2011 era, what they were doing is they already had it online. They were just increasing production. And I think that's the same thing currently, is that if they were already kind of running what it seems like at a pretty high rate. So if they're going to do anything, they're going to increase the work of the systems in place, which could mean pipe leaks, failures, and other things based on the fact that they've increased or they're running hot. So I'm going to show you a couple incidents that I had gone on, and in these 2 10-year periods, and I'll also include some longer videos into the email. It's just to give you an idea on what we saw, and again, some of the potential with the entire point of getting you to go out and look. So this is Lions Canyon. Lions Canyon, if you go up at the top, there's a facility up there all over, but this is the one that caught on fire, this one that blew up. So the picture you just saw was taken from that red triangle. In a second, you're going to see the crash rig video, and this was taken from the window of the crash rig in that same spot. It had happened at night, late at night, and we were there. We put foam on it, put the fire out, but then we left. There was a small brush fire that occurred because of it, so the hand crew stayed on until the next day, and that's when we got a call and we saw something pretty interesting. So again, it started a brush fire. This is what you're looking at as the containment. Most of them have containment areas that are supposed to contain any product that could leak from any issues. So what you see is a tank and then a pad. So a couple points on this is that, and I highly encourage you to talk to the crews at 50s. Foam is a lot more complicated and difficult than I think we give it credit. As example, the way this this tank is bent over. It was very difficult to get foam on it and to put it out. You couldn't get it in there, so the fire just kept burning the foam off, and we really had to work hard to get at a good angle to actually get it in to put the fire out. But the other thing is that we did not notice, because again it was dark, is that you see there's one tank and then the bottom of another tank. We didn't know that it was missing a tank that night, but it was. So the question is, where did it go? Well, it went a few hundred yards uphill and landed on a telephone pole. So crews that night, before they got the call, heard a loud thud, and then they started getting calls of fire in the hills. We didn't know that night that this tank had launched. And what it had done is it had blown up and landed on top of a telephone pole. And this telephone pole is where that star is. To the right of the star, it's probably hard to see on the screen. There's a telephone pole. It launched. That middle tank launched and landed on that pole. A couple years later, we found this video of this incident that shows pretty much exactly what happened that night. This is actually in Texas. I also want you to listen. You're going to hear a clang. And that clang is a piece of metal from the tank hitting a chain link fence that this person is videotaping behind. And also take note of how far away that fence is. Pretty far away, pretty loud bang. And if you watch the whole video, you can find it on YouTube. It actually shows a better event, and you can see the firefighters were there. So thankfully, we were not on scene when this thing launched, because I wouldn't have expected that. I didn't know at the time. I know now. Also, talking to your people there, the operators on site is critical. But you got to ask the right questions. You got to ask a lot of questions. They're used to working with it. To them, it's not a big deal. But again, they're used to working to it when it's doing its normal thing. If it's on fire, it's not normal anymore. And you see those two tanks on the side. I had asked, are there any pressure tanks on there? Again, I didn't know one blew off already. And it was like, no, there's no pressure tanks. And I don't know about you, but that to me looks like those two tanks on the right could hold pressure. Also, we also know that even a regular tank can hold pressure, because we watched one launch on that Texas fire, and this one launched. This is an oil well in La Cañada in 2016, and you'll see this is actually leaking methane from the wellhead. It took a couple hours to control, and we had to do different protective action operations on it. So Hopper Canyon, this is an event that occurred in Hopper Canyon. I will include a much longer video in the link. Pretty interesting, and what you're seeing is fuel coming out and then igniting out of the seam of the tank. And this was one of those events where it was better to let it burn. We didn't have enough water, we didn't have enough foam, there was no way to really get it on there, and it was much better to let it burn. And that's where your hazmat guys are critical, because they understand how long it takes for product to burn down and how long you're going to be there. And the estimate was like 16 hours for this to burn down, and it did burn down in 16 hours. This is the Tuscan pipe leak incident in 2015. This is actually right off Santa Rosa Road. There is a high pressure 1,000 PSI oil pipe that runs through that. There's a vault there, and you'll see it in the other video I attached in my email. And it leaked. Right in the middle of a housing tract. It goes from the Ventura fields all the way down to El Segundo. So again, SINCA, PCP, DDD, drive your sector, drive the sites, get to know them, identify well-sized tank farms, pipelines, processing areas, evaluate your safe access routes, upwind, uphill, upstream, staging areas, turnarounds, because we know many of these are very difficult to get in and out. Water supply, some have fixed facilities and systems, some don't. Understand the limitations, reliability, product flow. Where's it going to go? Where's your vapor going to go? Where are your liquids going to go? What can you do? Damming, diking, and diverting to contain it. What type of air monitoring will you need to do? Evaluate the risk. Protective actions to not only us, but to the public. Shelter in place, evacuation, and combination of both. And what are we going to need to do, and how much of a population is in the area downwind of your specific facility you're looking at. And again, engage the operators early. Go talk to them, take a tour, drive these sites, go out and look. Be ready. for hopefully nothing, but better to be ready than not. Have a great shift. Keep getting better, and keep being you.